During the South Carolina Democratic debate, Marco Rubio was doing a little bit of Twitter commentary and accidentally made the case to elect progressives. Now, let me go to his tweet here. Now, he says, to recap tonight's Democratic debate, if they're elected, you will get government controlled internet, energy, schools, and healthcare. And as a bonus, reefer for everyone. Hey, all right. I'm not sure which candidate that is, but apparently it would be the Oprah of weed. You get reefer. You get a blunt. You know, you get a joint. Everybody gets weed. Fantastic. Look under your chairs. There's weed. At least that's what Marco Rubio wants you to think. And really, that sounds kind of awesome. Now, as far as everything else, fabrications, right? But here's the thing, the government certainly can't do worse than what we have right now: rising electric bills, climate change, healthcare that is completely unaffordable for the average family, an internet bill that is so riddled with fees and weird costs that you have to have someone to come and interpret it for you so you know actually what the hell you're paying for. But, you know, again, in reality, nobody's saying government takeover of any of these industries. What they are saying is that, hey, why don't we have government-sponsored insurance under Medicare for All? Insurance. Now, look, there still will be some private insurance, but understand, private insurance will only exist for things that are not actually covered under Medicare for All, which leaves very small room, very, very small room for private insurance to cover those things that are not covered by Medicare for All, which is super comprehensive. And by the way, when you get into the details of, you know, negotiating for what is going to be covered under Medicare for All, if they actually decide to take up the bill in Congress, then, you know, some things might be allowed to be covered by private insurance, and some things might not. And so it all kind of depends on how the final bill kind of gets hashed out. But there's no nuance allowed in Marco Rubio's world, because everything that is, you know, any good that's for the public is immediately socialism, communism. So now, as far as free weed goes, getting back to that, right? No free weed. Sorry, guys. Sad. But Bernie Sanders does say, why don't we legalize it? So that we no longer, of course, lock people up for possession of marijuana or using marijuana. And by the way, that would also mean taking marijuana off, or cannabis, whatever you want to call it, taking that off the Schedule 1 list of drugs. Schedule 1 means that there is absolutely no redeeming value in this drug, right? And that it is as dangerous as heroin. Now, any of you who have smoked marijuana or had an edible or used marijuana in any way, or cannabis, even without the psychoactive components of it, you would know that it is not as dangerous as heroin. It's actually less dangerous than alcohol to consume. And so it's ridiculous. So any serious presidential candidate should be like, yes, let's at the very least decriminalize it, if not legalize it outright. And that's, of course, apparently a punchline from Little Marco. So naturally, something got roasted online, and it's Marco Rubio. So now let's start with actor Dietrich Bader, which, by the way, I remember him from the Drew Carey Show. He just responded with, awesome. Can't be any more clear than that. Tiffany Bridge is reminded of the taco trucks. Remember the taco trucks? They're supposed to be on every corner if Hillary Clinton won. That sounds kind of awesome. Imagine combining free weed and taco trucks. Oh my God. Amazing. Again, what's free weed without tacos, right? I mean, you're practically making me want to go out and vote right now. And by the way, I would if I could, early voting, but I'm not sure when early voting starts here in Michigan. But Rat King, which is great, says, Is this supposed to be a negative? Good question. Mike just says saying reefer for everyone makes you even more of a square than Ted Cruz or Ben Sass. Oh, look, you know, it is pretty funny. It kind of tangentially related, but not to Marco Rubio. But I think I figured out who the Ted Cruz is on the Democratic side. It's Pete Buttigieg. The smarminess, right? There are certain parallels, right? Now, look, I know that Ted Cruz is basically a melted candle wax figurine, but Pete Buttigieg is, if you haven't melted that candle, completely empty, devoid of any real substance, and burns easily, or melts easily under pressure, or under any sort of heat. So, good parallels, right? But anyway, let's get back to the tweets. JD Wallace, again, is reminded by the taco trucks, and then adds, sign me up. David Wilson Brown asks, you are so bad at this. How are you even a senator? Answer, old people in Florida. Just saying. Now, Grant Stern says, and points out, by the way, 70% of Floridians actually voted for legal weed in 2016, 25% more than either presidential nominee. Interesting. Amy says, hell yeah, thanks, government. Can't wait. And Brutalism Apologist, with my favorite comment, says, don't threaten me with a good time. Look, how out of touch are these Republicans like Marco Rubio? Look, Rubio's supposed to be young. He's supposed to be the fresh face of the party, and yet he talks like he's going to a retirement home. Oh, but that's basically what Florida essentially is, a large retirement community. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.